What's your opinion on that? Like, in terms of putting in the time in the trenches early in your career rather than trying to skip ahead?
Some people might not like this answer. I was actually talking to my 20-year-old nephew last night because he wants to be in the film business, and he's in film school, and, all of the things that, I think maybe should happen may not be what he wants to have happen because he wants to be a director right away, so I understand that. But for me, I feel like you don't have to stay in any one thing doing that job for years and years and years. But I do think it makes a huge difference if you be it an artist that goes to a lead to a supervisor or a PA to a coordinator to a PM. You kind of have to know everyone's job once you get up into that leadership role. You don't have to know everything about it, but it's really great to be able to understand it and have a really broad view of what everyone does, because it only makes you better at the job that you're ultimately going to do. And I was incredibly lucky that maybe I didn't spend as long in one position as I should have before I got bumped to the next one, because I was surrounded by a lot of people who were willing to give me opportunities. But I do think that my career progression within the production ranks, I hit every department almost at the time. And so I have an understanding of what it was to do that job and what it means around you, how that job affects everything else that's happening in your universe of what usually is typically a project, right? And also how what your project is certainly in a facility, what happens on your project can affect everybody else on every other project that's happening at the same time. So there's all these causes and effects, and it really makes a big difference if you have a fundamental understanding of each step of the way. And again, you don't have to be an expert at everything. You just have to have a good understanding of it all.
Yeah. It's kind of like you need to know where things are coming from and where they're going to, because that way you're always considerate of how to prepare things for the next person, as well as how to ask for things from the previous person. So
totally. Yeah. And I mean, the most amazing thing about working in this industry, and particularly in visual effects, is you never stop learning because it's always changing, and so even when you do have done all of these jobs, it still doesn't mean that you know everything, just because it's constantly evolving and there's new things happening every day. And that's what keeps you on your toes too, as well.
That's right. I'm curious too, do you have any advice for people in how to focus more on building relationships in their career?
I'm fairly innately a very shy person, and I think that I'm not one of those people. The networking thing and trying to know people, it's like I don't think I do that well at all. But I think that for me, what I always have tried to do is whatever job I do, I try to do my best at it. And I give it my all, and I have been fortunate to have been recognized for, I think, my hard work. And I who knows if it's a intelligence or lack thereof, but I think it's the really hard work, and I'm very dedicated, and I think that has always served me well in terms of the people that I have met through that. Like every job that I have ever had and every transition and change in my world has come through having worked with someone at some point that I somehow passed, through their life, or they passed through mine. And it was like, hey, are you interested in this? Yeah, we worked together a couple of years ago and I thought of you, and so that's sort of how my career has evolved. And anything in terms of what I would pass on for anyone is that you just show up and you work really, really hard and do the best that you can. And I would say 99% of the time you're going to be rewarded for that.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Yeah, I think it's so important. Sometimes it is, literally putting in the work and putting in the time. And just as you said with experience as well, it all accumulates.